Hi everyone. Guess what? I said I would show how to re-ink an ink pad if anybody wanted me to, and I didn't notice until after I logged off that Valerie said, yes, please show how to do that. So I ran and got my Pear Pizzazz re-inker, and I will show you how I do that. So let me move these cards aside that I used that on. And let's get the Pear Pizzazz ink pad out. Now this Pear Pizzazz is an old style ink pad. We have a newer style, and some of my ink pads are in that, and then some are this older style. Let me show you a newer style. This is just jade. You can compare them here. This is the older style ink pad shell, and this is the newer style for the last couple, 2-3 years. When I got into Stampin' Up, I invested in the entire color family, all of them, all ink pads, and so I have a lot of this style. They aren't very old because I was only in Stampin' Up, I don't even know if it was a year. It wasn't very long, and then they swapped over to the new style. So I have not gotten rid of these, but as new colors come in, or as old ink pads get bad and I need to replace them, then I get these new ones. But these will last a good long time, but they will run a little dry on ink if you use them often like I do. So I buy re-inkers. Re-inkers are good for many reasons, but the primary one being to re-ink your ink pad. The other reason is this is what you use if you're watercoloring. You can use this. You can use this if you're doing the baby wipe technique for stamping. You can use this to put into spritzers to spritz color on things. They have lots of uses, but the main one is to re-ink your ink pad. So I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to move this out of the way after I show you how to open it, just because I don't want to accidentally put this re-inker in here. So this, the new style opens up like a compact, a makeup compact that you flip up. When you flip it back, then you can slide it in and lock it in. And Stampin' Up comes with stickers on the bottom that you can peel off to put labels on your colors. So they come in lots of languages, so I usually put the English language one on the front so that when these are in my holders I can read them. And then some of the spare ones I put one on the inside here, so that if I have these open on my table, these, it's hard to tell the color from there, but I can look at this label and see what's what. Make sure when you close these that you snap it, because otherwise they will dry out and then you'll be re-inking these babies a lot sooner than you had intended. Okay, so the old style, it's a little trickier to open, and that's one of the reasons I think they finally changed, because this seems to be takes some getting a learning curve involved with this. So you, where these 3 holes are, you push it forward and then flip it up and then slide it in. And again, I've got a label in here to help me know what color that one is when it's open and on my table. So here's Pear Pizzazz. I like to keep on my table a plastic spoon, because you'll see why. And then I have my chamois that I use to wipe off ink from stamps, but I'm also going to use it here to wipe off my spoon. So I'm going to take my re-inker. I'm going to check like 3 or 4 times that I've got the color that matches the color ink pad, because you don't want to put the wrong color on here, of course. And it seems silly to mention that, but if you've got more than one ink pad out or more than one re-inker, you might pick up the wrong one, because again, you can't really tell what color that is by looking at it, so make sure your name matches. So I give it a shake. I don't know that it really separates, but I just always give it a shake. At one time I did put little dots of color on the tops of my re-inkers to help me be able to identify them. I don't know if that really helps that much, but I did do it. So then I take this reinker and I just go back and forth, squeezing out gently a little bit. And usually it will start soaking in, especially if you move it around a bit. And the drier your ink pad, the more that's going to soak in. If it's super dry, then I would also go this way with some ink. Okay. And then this is where the spoon comes in. I'm going to take the spoon and I'm going to take the flat bottom of it, trying not to gouge it with any of the edges that are rough, but just the flat bottom. And I'm going to go back and forth like I'm icing or frosting a cake. I'm going to turn and go the other direction. And then again. And so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of squishing and spreading the ink out all around so that it's not just concentrated where it first landed. So just kind of do that. Now this is all inky, so that's where this comes in handy for me. Give it a good wipe and wipe it off. And then I stick this, once I'm sure it's clean, I stick it back up here till the next time. And so now this is re-inked. Now I'm going to show you that when you first re-ink, let's use a scratch pad. I used the word friend, didn't I? Let me pull that back up. But I'm going to take it out of the Stamparatus and just put it on a block so that it can fit in the frame a lot better. Get this block. So when you first re-ink, it hasn't really soaked in there evenly all over. You might get an image, well, that's pretty even, I got lucky, but you might get an image where there's some wettish looking ink in some areas more than others. So a good idea is to, when you stamp it, or I'm sorry, pat this, don't push hard into the ink pad, but just pat it, but maybe pat it around in different areas a few times. There, that looks really nice, doesn't it? And sometimes if you're a demonstrator and you're going to do classes, or if you're going to do a project right away with a color, be careful. The first time you've re-inked, stamp on some scratch paper before you go to your actual project, because you may not like the look of it. You may need to let this set for a little while and really kind of get that ink melding in there good, and then go back and stamp. So check it out before you go straight to your project. I try to re-ink if I've got a class like on a Friday and I test it out on Wednesday or Thursday. I try to re-ink and then let it set for a day or two before we use it at a class, and that seems to do a better job. If you get too much ink on here when you re-ink it, I should show you this real quick. Say you do it, and now when you stamp it, it is so juicy. You can take your spoon and push hard like this and kind of squeegee the ink down to one end, and then that cleans off, oops, darn it, that'll clean off some of the ink from this end, and then you can get a good impression. But otherwise, just push it back. Okay? There you go. That's a little bit about re-inking. Hopefully Valerie saw this, because she was the one who said, please show that at the end of the other video, but I didn't see it till I was off. So sorry about that. Any questions about that? Oh yeah, looks like Valerie did. I see a comment from her. Yeah, you're very welcome, Valerie. Hopefully that helps you. I think that's pretty much how most people do it. I've not really seen that many other demonstrators re-ink, but I believe that's pretty much what is common practice. I will say that if you buy the Stampin' Up! Craft White ink pad and use that ever, that white is super, super thick, so it takes a lot more work to squeeze it out and to spread it out. And the white one, when you first get it, the pad itself is dry, 100% dry. And you get a bottle of this and you have to apply this to it, but it doesn't come pre-inked. And then I keep my white one in a Ziploc baggie because it dries out. It's a very different ink. It's not this kind of ink at all. So that's slightly different. But for most any other ink pad, this is how you do it. And I do the same thing, I should tell you, Like on my Memento Black, I have a reinker for that. As you can imagine, doing classes, we go through a lot of black ink. I do the same thing. I put it on here. You'll see it soak in. If it soaks in super fast, you know it's a pretty thirsty ink pad. But don't overdo it. Add some, and you can always go back and add more later if it's not as much as you were hoping for. Just don't go gangbusters and put too much. That would be my tip to anybody, is to maybe just do a bit at first. So thanks guys, I hope that helped, and take care. Sorry for hopping back on, but wanted to take care of that. Have a great evening all. Bye bye.